Now we need to understand a little bit more about the master fader. The master fader is the very last audio pathway through which every single sound inside of Cubase is going to travel. So this is the clearinghouse for all of your audio information. And there are three critical components of the master fader. The first is the fader itself. It looks just like any other Cubase fader, and you can move it up and down to control how much information is going to be coming out of your speakers. But more importantly for mastering and for doing an audio mixdown, the fader controls how loud the output of the mixdown file is going to be. So setting this fader at an appropriate volume is going to be critical for getting a proper audio mix down. The second component is the meter, and the meter gives you a visual representation of how much volume is either going into or out of the master fader depending on how you set it, and I'm going to go over that in a moment. But the third component is this clip light. The clip indicator will show you if you're either clipping on the input of the master fader or on the output of the master fader, and I'm going to go over that in a moment as well. But there are actually two different clip indicators for the master fader, one of which is on the master fader itself right here, and the other one is on the transport window. I'm going to type F2 on my computer keyboard, and that will reveal the transport panel. Now the clip indicator is also represented on the transport panel in this section. This is the output meter level, and there's a clip indicator on the top. The clip indicator here and the one in the master fader are identical. They just show you if you ever get clipping on the master fader. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to press play on this Cubase project, and it's going to clip. You'll notice that as soon as the clip indicator came on the master fader, it also came on in the transport panel. That's because that light is the exact same indicator on both panels, both the mixer and the transport panel. And you can reset the clip indicator just by clicking on either one. Now the volume of this particular project is set so high that it's going to continue to clip the master fader. So it's important that while you're working on your Cubase project, if you ever see the clip indicator, you need to bring down the master fader until it stops clipping. And you may need to do this a few times. You'll also notice that as soon as you move the master fader, the clip indicator goes off. Oh, there it goes again. So I'm going to drag that down a little bit further. Now that I've got that master fader set, there's a couple of other things that we need to learn about on the master fader. Now you may have noticed these numeric values underneath the fader and the meter, and let me tell you what these do. The bottom number, or the larger number, is the actual numeric value of the position of the master fader. So you'll notice that as I move that fader up and down, the values change. But what is this other value? Well, that is the maximum value of where the meter got to during the last playback. So if I press play again, you'll notice that the VU meter goes up a little bit higher. I'm going to bring it down now. Now we're at minus 0.2 dB. Well, now we just exceeded 0, so we've gone 0.9 without the negative indicator in front. We went up to 1.6. So I need to continue to bring that master fader down until I see negative values, or I should say the maximum negative value. There's minus 9. That's getting a little bit closer. So what that second value shows you is how loud the master meter got. Well, starting to get a little bit louder. So you'll need to monitor that master fader and the master meter to make sure that you're not going over 0. And there's a bit of an art form in doing that, and we're going to talk about all of that a little bit later. But now let's learn about the gain stage of the master fader.